Welcome back to Eye on the Money, and in studio today with me I have Lucy Njine, who's a personal finance expert, and today we're talking about wealth creation. Now, Lucy, before we went for break, you were trying to explain to me whether indeed it's possible to create wealth while still living a comfortable life, the kind of life that maybe some people could be used to, or do you have to be very stringent and live on a shoestring budget?
Not necessarily, Ingrid. I will not tell you that you have to kill yourself because, like you're saying, you might not live tomorrow. The word is being intentional.
Right.
Intentional and knowing that the sacrifices to be made. Like, for example, when you draw a budget, you need to include all the things that really matter to you. And then you have to define for yourself what is extravagance and at what price am I willing to pay to get to where I am going. That's why we started by defining the levels. Maybe all you want to do is remain at financial security. And if your salary is getting you there, then in your budget, you can do everything that you want, finish your money, because next month is coming. The kind of sacrifice that you will be forced to make is different from that person who needs to make a big investment that at some point is going to take them to financial freedom. But I'm not saying that you have to kill yourself.
Right.
What I'm saying is be intentional about the wealth creation journey, and then include there the element of sacrifice. There is no win that can be made without sacrifice. I mean, you cannot finish all your money in every aspect of life. You cannot finish all your money and still think you're in the process of creating wealth. So if you have in your budget, you have said, I'm going to be setting aside 20% of my earnings to finance my wealth multiplication. It means that you're telling yourself then, whatever lifestyle 80% of my salary affords me, that is what I am going to live. And so if inside there, you can be able to slot in some of those things that you call extravagance for you, then it's okay. But you have already set aside whatever amount you decided is what I need to put aside to finance my wealth multiplication bit. So basically what we tell people is decide how much do you want to put aside to fund your future, financial freedom, financial abundance, or wherever you want to go. So whatever amount of money then that comes, you first remove that, whatever you're putting aside. So what remains, whatever then lifestyle it can afford you for today, then that is where you live. Yeah. So you're not killing yourself, but again, you're also not giving up on your dream.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes.
I'm going to now allow for audience feedback, because usually our viewers have very interesting very interesting questions that I feel like we need to give an opportunity to.
Yes.
And I'll get it from Twitter today. Richard Kemboy would like to know, you've tackled this, but I think maybe they just tuned in. They'd like to know, can I still create wealth even when my source of livelihood is barely making ends meet? How? Maybe you can just expound on it. I know you talked about
basically it just depends on when he says ends meet, what does it mean?
Barely survive on the salary that they have.
Barely surviving.
Right.
But you see, you could be living in Lavington and you're saying I'm barely surviving.
You're probably
and somebody
living out
else
of your
is living,
means.
and somebody else is living somewhere else where you only need so much and still saying barely surviving. The thing is, you need to decide, where am I going? And how much do I need to put aside to fund where I am going? So that when you have decided that, even if it is 200 shillings you are earning, and you have decided I'm going to put aside 20 shillings, which is 10% of that aside from everything I earn to fund my future dream, then you will now tailor-make your lifestyle within whatever remains after you remove the 200 shillings. I mean, look at what KRA does on our salaries. They've decided they want 30% of your salary to fund whatever it is they are doing. They take it. You have to figure out how to survive with the difference. So then why don't you also make it a priority the way they do and say, my future is that much of a priority to me. I am going to survive on what remains after I've set aside whatever it is.
Lucy, these things of money are very complicated. In fact, that's why you see so many situations where people are broke, people are filing for bankruptcy. We've all suffered at one point in time where we just we've all suffered at the hands of money. So my question is,
Yes.
when we talk about this complex topic that you mentioned yourself is not easy, of wealth creation, how vital, how important is it to enlist the help of a professional, or would you say it's not necessary, you can do it on your own?
I think there are people who can crack it on their own, just like in many other aspects of life. There are some people who are just prudent and they're able to crack it. But I don't think there's any facet of life, be it in marriage, be it in parenting, be it that you can really say you can make it without the help of someone who is an expert in that area. And it doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to come and bring you solutions that you don't know.
They'll guide you.
They will just guide you, and in most cases, it will just be like somebody trying to bring out to you the things that you already know, and then to hold you accountable. So the element of someone holding you accountable, for me, is what is very, very key in consulting an expert. Because in most cases, when you make your friends your accountability partners, they are also suffering the same way you are suffering. And at some point, they will say, why do we even have to sacrifice? Let's just eat the money, let's just do whatever we have to do. Tomorrow will take care of itself. But when you know that I have an expert whom I have to be accountable to, then you know that you will be able to toe the line. Secondly, when it comes to like, when you get to the wealth multiplication stage, you might really not be able to know what are the vehicles that I can use to make investments in? What are the good vehicles that I can use at this particular time, and what should I avoid? Then that kind of person who is an expert will be able to guide you that at this time, considering what is prevailing in the economy right now in Kenya, in the world, these are the best options that you have. And then they will have also gathered the experiences of other people. So you'll come and tell them, I want to invest in this area. And they will tell you, this is what is happening. This is the experience of people that have already been in the area where you are. So it's very, very important. Unfortunately, because this subject is never taught in school,
Yes.
how to relate with money, we go through life disregarding the need for help.
Right.
And then, in most cases, you find that you make a lot of mistakes with finances. And therefore, when you think of going to tell somebody how many mistakes you have made, you are like, I'd rather just
so
suffer
embarrassing.
quietly. And so you find a lot of people strain. They suffer silently, and they are afraid of asking for help. Yeah.
Lucy, thank you so much for coming here today. It's been a very beautiful conversation.
Yes.
And what I've taken from this is wealth creation is just not one of those things you either have to think about doing. It's a necessity. If you're to my tongue.
Yes.
If you're to successfully
Yes.
make it in life and just,
Yes.
you know, save in the long run and be able to live comfortably, it's one of those things that you must do.
Yes.
Thank you very much for joining us.
You're most welcome. Always a
Unfortunately,
pleasure.
we've come to the end of our show, but as usual, I'll leave you with the financial tip of the day. The sooner you start, the better. No one but you is going to look after you in your older years. The sooner you start saving, no matter how small the amount, the better life you will make and have in your later years. I can't afford it, or the amount I can afford won't make a difference. We've had it all too often. This is simply not true. Many people get to their mid-50s or later and only then realize they need to start saving for when they no longer earn a salary or fixed income. The shorter time you have to save, the less capital you'll have at retirement, which will affect your lifestyle once you stop working. That's all the show we had for you today, but do keep the conversation going on our social media pages at Metropole TV KE on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. I'm Ingrid Nantege. Have a beautiful evening.